Welcome back. Former White House chief strategist Steve Bannon pleading not guilty in an alleged scheme to defraud donors in a $25 million fundraiser to build President Trump's border wall. Bannon was accused back in August of taking more than $1 million from the nonprofit to pay his personal expenses. 3 other men were also charged. Joining me right now is Steve Bannon. Steve, it is great to see you this morning. These charges happened since the last time I spoke with you. What is your response?
Complete total nonsense. My C4 had a $1 million contract to provide services. This is the administrative state trying to stop me from working for President Trump on his reelection, and it's an abject failure. The law of unintended consequences. I've got a bigger platform, more access to resources, and I'm more engaged in President Trump's reelection than ever. I'm leading a national tour about the plot to steal 2020 that the Democrats, since they've had mass hysteria with their voters, no Democrats want to go to the polls to vote. They want to steal this from President Trump starting on the evening of November 3rd after he has a massive game day victory. So no, totally innocent, complete joke. That'll all be shown later. That's for another day when we go to court and blow this thing out. Right now, this is all about reelecting President Trump. If we don't reelect President Trump, this country is going to be in a deep dive.
So let's talk about that. The president speaking directly to the American people last night, just hours after being released from Walter Reed Medical Center. Here's the president last night. Take a listen.
Don't let it dominate. Don't let it take over your lives. We have the greatest country in the world. As your leader, I had to do that. I knew there's danger to it, but I had to do it.
So he is now under the watch of top doctors at the White House. He continues treatment, Steve, but his critics are going mad that he left the hospital so quickly. What does this mean for the campaign? Talk to us about what your reaction is to all of this happenings in the last 24 hours.
Look, we're on the set right now of War Room Pandemic. As you know, Maria, I started covering this months before the mainstream media did. They were laughing and heckling me because I know the Chinese Communist Party and I know China. This came from the Chinese Communist Party. What you're seeing from the Democrats over the last 24, 48 hours is the same hysteria that has forced their voters not to want to go vote. It's a linkage between Biden's campaign, the hysteria, and the mainstream media. President Trump is offering up leadership. Hey, the virus is a fact. There's no doubt about that. But you've got to work through that with rational decision making. On the debate, President Trump was talking about second and third order magnitude impact of this of the virus, and what we have to do as a country to have selected targeted interventions to look at comorbidities to open up the country. In New York City, look at the disaster that de Blasio and Cuomo, Democratic governors and mayors, have made it the greatest city on earth. What Biden wants to do is go down the basement, okay, and just hide. That's an abdication of leadership. That's playing into the hysteria. What Trump offers is leadership. He's got the CCP virus, and he's powering through it. And I think he's showing the country real leadership. This is, to me, if the Democrats think they're going to win on COVID, I get another thing. When President Trump goes out and makes this compelling case that he's making right now that he's got the disease and he's powering through it, like the country has to power through it, and remember, these decisions are very tough. You got to mitigate the risk, and you got to make tough decisions. That's what President Trump is showing. It's called leadership. Joe Biden is just buying into the hysteria. Oh, let the scientists make the decisions. It's not that simple. The scientists are advisors about data and information that you then make decisions off of. I think right now, President Trump, I look at last weekend as like almost a Billy Bush weekend. Now he can step up and power through this thing, get focused. He's the best closer ever. Let's compare and contrast the leadership of President Trump and the buying into the hysteria that Joe Biden has.
But, Steve, you heard the last segment, right? They're going to cheat. Already his critics are out demanding that he cover up, wear a mask, get back inside, get back to the hospital. They are angry that he's back at the White House and he seems to be beating this COVID situation. And the ballots. I mean, I don't know if this administration has the number of lawyers that Biden does, but you heard Hillary Clinton. She says Joe Biden should contest this election, whatever it takes.
No, Maria, she said don't concede under any circumstance. Look, this is what I've been working on. I was never going back to the campaign. Bill Stepien, Jason Miller, Mayor Giuliani. You got a great team over there. Steve Cortez on the campaign. I was always, for the last couple of months, leading this effort, understanding they couldn't win on game day. They cannot win on game day. They've got to try to steal it starting the evening of November 3rd. President Trump's going to have a massive victory that evening. They're going to have a combination of lawyers, media and social media, the oligarchs in Silicon Valley, and also the street muscle of Antifa and certain elements of Black Lives Matter. That's why I'm doing this national tour, to alert people. Remember, you said in the last segment, 600. They've got 800 lawyers. They're already in with hundreds of lawsuits. This is why we need to confirm the 9th justice for the Supreme Court. Cases are already going to the Supreme Court. We need 9 justices. We need Judge Barrett right away to get on top of this. But I got to tell you, President Trump's group, the outside groups are organized. We're not going to allow the hysteria of the Democratic Party to steal the game day victory from President Trump. This is going to be a fight like no other, but President Trump is going to prevail.
Do you think he will have a landslide?
I think on the game day vote, I think on the evening of November 3rd, President Trump will have a massive victory. Remember, what's happening right now with all the mail-in votes and the early votes, the Democratic Party is just cannibalizing their game day vote. They don't have a lot of low propensity voters. This is why you're seeing the panic of Michael Bloomberg putting $100 million into Florida. This is why you're seeing the Democrats right now, Pelosi and all of them, trying to pivot to try to go door to door. It's too late. They forced people underground. It's too late for them to do it. They're going to try to steal it the night of November 3rd. We're not going to let them. President Trump's going to win on game day, and he's going to win. He's going to win everywhere else and be inaugurated on the 20th of January.
All right, Steve. We'll be watching, of course. Thanks very much for being here, Steve Bannon. We'll be right back.